Hey, what is up, guys? Eric Blade here with my friend Mega Metal Gamer, and we are just casuals. We came up with a name finally, and this is our first discussion video.
Well, technically, you came up with that name,
Yeah,
so
but
so we will give the credit to you. By we, I mean me.
wow, crediting yourself to giving credit to me. Wow. Anyways,
So,
so today we're going to be discussing. Well, actually, how about you explain what we're going to be discussing?
so every morning when I wake up, I normally check to see if there's any Yu-Gi-Oh news because I like to wake up with news if there's some. And at the end of last month and at the beginning of this month, there was two articles that was posted that I actually want to talk about.
All right.
uh, which is well, in the OCG they released a pack called Legend Duelist Legend Pack Legend Duelist 2, which is more of like casual kind of um playing
Casual
the
kind
game.
of cards, like casual
Yeah,
kind of decks, strategies, stuff like
and
that.
also more related to Duel Links.
So basically, stuff like Bastion decks, etc.
Yeah, because in Legend Duelist 1, when we get it next month, we're going to be getting some Amazonas, some Viacroids, Cyberdarks. There's going to be some chemical stuff that Bastion used, so like another version of Water Dragon and stuff.
Yep,
And surprisingly, they announced a second one that's going to be released in November.
which is interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think that they were going to release the second one in the same year. Although it does show that it was probably really popular.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought with my good friend here that we could probably name characters that we would like to see
Or
have
that we
new
think we
cards,
need
or
to
or
have new
what
cards.
yeah, or what we would like to see try to become a thing again.
Right.
But
Especially with
the
the new link format and stuff.
yes, and the kicker with this is with the first one, as I said, it's more casual, more like dueling style. With
Mm-hmm.
this, in this article, there's a note that says that there could be some stuff that's strong enough to influence the metagame.
Yep, I'm reading that. Yeah, I'm reading that note. Besides cards to enhance existing decks, it's cited that there will be cards that are strong enough to influence the metagame inside this pack.
So,
Um,
so meaning we could still get some casual stuff, but we're gonna be getting stuff that could go towards competitive.
or at least
And
make decks that weren't competitive prior more competitive.
yeah, and thinking about it, I was thinking, what character from any of the Yu-Gi-Oh series would I like to see have new stuff?
For me personally, I would always go for Jaden because
You
heroes,
and
that's my main
you
thing.
and you and your heroes.
But the thing is, heroes are. I feel like while as much hate as heroes get because of freaking Stratos still not getting unbanned, they do get a lot of new material. I feel like they do get a lot of new cards. For example, well, more like less new cards, more of just altered cards from the manga, such as Vision Hero Vion. That was originally in the manga,
Hmm.
and then they re-released him, but as a with a different card effect in a just I wouldn't say different art, but an updated art.
And there's also the fact for when it comes to heroes for you, they don't have any Xyz or synchros.
Exactly. Which honestly, I always found that weird. Like I found it weird that Heroes of all things couldn't get a tuner or synchro monster because they could fuse really well with each other. So I feel like a synchro mechanic would have been very helpful for Heroes, but so would an Xyz mechanic because those are basically the same thing as fusion, just different, differently executed. So I
That
always found it weird.
That is good point.
I really found it weird because heroes are meant for joining forces. They are meant to join forces to stop the ultimate evil, which is why I'm like, why don't they get synchros? Why don't they get Xyz monsters? Why don't they get these things? Because this is what they're good for.
Well, for me, one of the one of my favorite characters, other than Joey, because who doesn't like Joey, is Jesse. Just
Yeah,
because I like how Crystal Beasts play, where
yeah.
they can stay on the field and everything.
And the
And I
thing,
was and in the anime, he's used cards that we haven't gotten yet. And in the OCG, they've gotten two pendulums, with one of them being actually really good. The other is, meh.
okay, it's okay.
It's more defensive. And they
Yeah,
have a trap card, which I really want because it would make the deck faster.
yeah.
So I was thinking if they could put Jesse as one of the characters to get more stuff, how would how would I like to see it? Which for one, they could probably make it kind of a fusion based deck, because
Yeah.
if you can mix crystals together, it would obviously create different versions of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a thing.
Another thing that can better enforce that is the fact that when you combine gems together, there are actually different reactions when you actually melt them down and combine them. It's basically the same thing as making alloys, but instead you're using gems.
Exactly. Like you can't really go kind of like an Xyz base because they mostly have different levels. Because like there's um, Pegasus, Tiger, and Mammoth. That's level 4. There's Carbuncle. That's the lowest level, and so on. So
Actually, I
Xyz
see
stuff.
them kind of working because, in a sense, like you're basically always going to be able to have at least two of the crystal beasts out on the field because you can always just you can summon
Oh
them
no.
really easy.
Well, no. Here's the thing. When it comes uh to keeping them on the field, the trap card would that we don't have yet
Would
would
help.
actually, yes, it would help speed it up, because if a crystal beast monster gets destroyed, which even when it goes to the spell trap card zone, you can special summon a monster, crystal beast monster.
Yeah.
So it would
Um,
speed it up, especially if you can end up getting more Sapphire Pegasus.
but the thing that you
And
mentioned about them being different levels, that just means you have more options because when you special summon a crystal beast monster, it's not like they're being special summoned at random. It's more of you're picking which crystal beasts to choose from.
well, what I thought of as well is when they go to the spell trap card zone, it helps the field spell, and there's some spell cards that you can use to your advantage with that. If they would go to a fusion area with it, their fusion card, which could be like Crystal Fusion,
Mm-hmm.
we could say, for example, it could probably allow you to use the ones that are in your spell and trap card zone to fuse with.
Yeah, that would be actually very interesting to see because we don't see many cards fusing with the spell or trap card zone. We kind of see that with the three legendary dragons, um,
Yeah.
especially Kaiba's legendary dragon. He fuses with Mirror Force and Tyrant Wing, which actually gives
Don't forget,
farm.
don't forget Crush Card.
Yeah, the Crush Card Virus, which all three of them have pretty interesting effects, especially the Mirror Force dragon. In fact, I run the Mirror Force. I run the Mirror Force and the Tyrant Burst Dragon in my Blue Eyes deck instead of Xyz monsters.
I actually did not know that.
Yep,
All right.
but it actually makes those trap cards a lot more useful. For example, the Mirror Force Dragon is literally a buffed Mirror Force, but a monster.
Yeah.
So it's not like he goes to the grave afterwards, and it's not limited to two attacks. If that card is targeted by a card effect, his Mirror Force effect will activate.
Very true.
I'm
Um,
not sure if it negates the effect or not. I would have to relook at that. Tyrant Burst Dragon is basically a buffed up um,
Wing.
Tyrant Wing, yeah. And the thing about it is that he doesn't go to the graveyard after you attack. Your monster can perform 2 attacks, and he gains 400 attack, I believe. And he becomes an equip card. Obviously, he's more useful out on the field for OTKs, but at the same time, if you want that extra attack boost, then you got it.
So let me ask you something. Going back to the Duelist pack here, if you were able to name one character from each series that you would like to see get stuff that could go competitive, who would you
Um,
like? Starting with Duel Monsters, the
okay,
original.
starting with the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Honestly, I kind of took a fan to the whole aspect of Joey's deck, but again, he kind of does already have the boost with Red Eyes cards. Um, but his deck
Well,
specifically was more based around
well,
chance.
don't forget. Joey already ended up getting more stuff in
Yeah, that's
Legend
true.
Duelist One.
That's true. He gets more
I'm
stuff
asking.
already.
I'm asking in like that you would like to see get more support that we haven't gotten in like years or something.
Honestly, there isn't really much from the originals because they did basically update the originals, especially with the current movies coming out.
See, there is one character that comes to mind when it comes to the original.
Taya?
Um, no, no,
Update Taya deck. Update
no.
Taya deck.
Valen,
Valen?
which he used the armor deck.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Actually, what I kind of want to
his
see.
stuff has never gotten released, so this could be a good time, especially if the effects are kind of similar. It
Hmm.
could maybe, although it would be it might be a little bit tricky to do.
So, what I want to see, actually, I just thought of someone. Bakura.
Yeah, there's probably some Bakura stuff that could still come out.
Yeah. Bakura was like. So, a lot of people, this is like off topic, but a lot of people seem to downplay Bakura because of how, like,
I
much of.
I don't.
I don't downplay him at all, but a lot of people seem to because after the first couple seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh, he did kind of become a background character.
That is true, but he had his own special
Oh
plan.
yeah, he had his own special plans and everything, but a lot of people seem to downplay his deck. Now, granted, in a competitive aspect, everyone's deck from all the Yu-Gi-Oh series are pretty much fodder.
True.
But I'm
Um,
saying he was someone to be messed with. In fact, Yugi himself, like this was without the Pharaoh, if you remember from that one episode, he had problems fighting Bakura, and he had to use, I believe it was
are you talking about like the last season?
no, it was is some other time. He used Gandora the Dragon of Destruction. It may have been the
Yeah,
last season.
that was the last season.
Yeah, Bakura
That's when
gave him a hard
that's when
time.
that's when Bakura was like in three places at once.
Yeah, but Bakura, regardless, Bakura gave him a hard time in that season.
Yeah, no, that is true. Although Yugi was on his own, but
But to be
I
fair, Yugi by himself is a great duelist.
yeah.
If we look,
I just want to mention real quick a honorable mention from the original series that maybe we'd like to see more of. Merrick, you
yes,
know, bring back more Gravekeepers,
yes,
especially if
honest,
especially if they can end up getting a Link monster.
mm-hmm.
That if Negro Valley's on the field, then specific things happen.
I guess an honorable mention for me, and this is more of I want these to have support so that they're not so useless. The God cards. Because when you
No,
think about it, they are kind of useless. and they're supposed to be these godlike beings, but getting them out on the field is, for one, very difficult because you have to be able to stall enough in order to have three monsters on the field, which of course you can do with Gravity Bind, Wall of Revealing Light, and stuff.
Well, unless you have a deck that's so heavy on special summoning.
Yeah, unless you have a deck that's really heavy on special summoning and tributing, you're not going to be able to get these guys out on the field. And then when you actually spend the time to get them out on the field, they're still very, very vulnerable, especially Slifer and Ra.
True.
And also, another thing to point out, there is no real way to get all three of them out on the field at once without your opponent having a bad deck.
No, there... Well, okay. Technically, with how many Monster Zone there was no way to get out all three. But now that we have an extra Monster Zone, technically you're able to have all three.
That's true. No, well, there is a way to have all three, but it's just extremely hard, because you have to first get the first one out on the field, then you have three other monsters, and then you tribute those, and then there's still enough slots on the field to get one more, but then they're taking up 3 spots, and then you only have 2 spots for other monsters.
True.
Which basically makes it almost impossible to have a shutdown deck. Which I don't have a problem with that, to be honest, but the God cards themselves, yeah, they do a good job at not shutting down your opponent, but giving them a hard time. Honestly, they're basically fodder in today's meta.
Who would you like to see from GX in this pack?
GX, I would like to see some Alexis.
Well, Alexis doesn't... Well, in the No, actually, Alexis in general doesn't really use the extra deck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like because of the new Link summoning format, and because of summoning from the extra deck is slower, there's no denying that it is slower because of Link summoning. And not saying it's a problem, but I'm saying it is a problem for decks that are really heavy on the extra deck. And unfortunately, those were really popular decks, aside from Draco Slayers and Dinosaurs and stuff like that. But there are really popular decks before them that were really extra deck heavy, and I feel like now, because of that, people are going to be transitioning, and they're going to be wanting a different deck now.
That is true.
And I think what would come out would be Rituals.
Well, don't forget there's the Vendread that's been coming out recently.
Yeah. But I do want to see some more support for Alexis, because while the deck that I'm using, it isn't bad. Don't get me wrong. It's not a bad deck. It is fairly decent.
You have a weird Alexis build, I will say.
It is weird. But I'm saying it's like it could have some better support. That's what I'm saying.
If I would have to pick someone from GX,
she's just the main one because she's really one of the only ones who actually did ritual summonings in that series.
Yeah. Well, I did mention Jessie. That would be an obvious thing, and then we're gonna get Vehicroids next month.
Yeah.
If I had to pick something,
don't pick Cyber Dragons, because we had the Cyber Dragon Infinity.
Yeah, no.
Don't you dare pick Cyber Dragons.
No, I'm not gonna say Cyber Dragons, because we technically have Zane stuff coming out next month as well.
Yeah, we do.
With Cyber Darks.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Ancient Gears?
That was gonna be my honorable mention, but yeah, Ancient Gears is another thing that I feel like should get some support.
Because they do have a couple of fusions.
Yeah, to be fair, you're not really using the extra deck a lot, because you don't really have much chance to. You're more relying on other monsters. It's basically like this. You're either going to be using an Ancient Gear Reactor Dragon, an Ancient Gear Golem Mechanized Melee, which we're getting when? Or do we already have it?
Mechanized Melee, we just got that.
Yeah, we just got that, so technically we already have support for it. Well, extra support for it. And the Mechanized Melee is a really nice card.
Don't forget there was the structured deck that came out for Ancient Gears.
Yes, that is true. We do have the structured deck. Honestly, Ancient Gears as a deck, and in itself is a really good deck. I mean, like there is some really good
Yeah,
plays with it, especially when you add the power bond into it.
yeah, yeah. You don't have to remind me about that.
Yeah. 9,000 attack monster unaffected by spells and traps.
I could have went over it though, barely.
Well, yeah, barely. You literally had to make like the most plays possible to do it.
I will say my
Do
shout
you know
out.
what's funny
What?
about that golem? That giant?
What?
Cyber Angel Gymnast can destroy it.
True. My shout out that I would have to mention, maybe vampires,
Vampires?
because Carmela was a GX
Yeah.
character that used it.
Um, yeah, vampires, they don't
Because
really have a lot of support.
and plus the only thing that is a problem with vampires right now is look how many things activate when they're in the graveyard.
Yeah, and look
So
how much like stuff we can do to the graveyard, such as Dark Law and
yeah,
other
so
things.
what I would maybe say, because they also have at least one Xyz vampire.
Mm-hmm.
If they introduce a link monster for them, one of the effects should be instead of sending cards to the grave, they're banished instead.
Yeah.
That would probably help them out a lot.
Cards that would help basically go for banished cards instead of grave cards, honestly, in today's time, would make a lot of things better.
Unless you run into Metaphys when they come out, then you're uh-oh.
Yeah. But yeah, those are some of the stuff. Now 5Ds. Ooh. Oh wait, I forgot my honorable mention. My
Oh, yeah.
honorable mention was gonna be Ancient Gears, but since you already called them out,
I just thought something that could. Can I have a second? Can I have a runner up to my honorable mention?
yes, a runner-up is fine.
All right, Ojamas. Come on, you have to admit that'd be hilarious.
that that would be the best shit if Ojama's got more support.
Yeah, their Link monster could be Ojama Queen somehow.
Oh my god. Stop it with these ideas. Okay,
Although
so
I don't have an idea of what their effects could be, so.
yeah, but okay, so for my honorable mention, it's hard to pick one. I guess Vision Heroes, like specifically Vision Heroes.
All right, so Vision Heroes / Destiny Heroes, maybe.
Vision Heroes / Destiny, possibly Evil Heroes, because the Evil Heroes were pretty interesting back in the day.
I Yeah, I will give you that one. That's actually a good honorable mention.
Yeah, because like I said, heroes in general is basically what I want more support for. I also want Stratos off the ban list. Come on, Konami.
Everyone does.
Get your head out of your ass and get Stratos back off that list. Put him to 1. We'll be fine
All
with
right,
that.
all right. We'll just go to 5Ds now. Just go to 5Ds. I will say one thing when it comes to 5Ds, we won't mention Black Wings because I'm willing to bet you in the next thing we're going to talk about, we're going to be mentioning Black Wings.
Right, so yeah,
So
Black Wings is off limits, even though it's an obvious choice.
yeah, well, that's why we're going to mention it in the next thing we're talking.
Right, it's going to be its own video.
But the one thing the one deck I actually want to make in 5Ds, but I couldn't figure it out. If they introduced like a Link monster for them, if it came to this, or just other things in general for it, Morphtronics.
Yeah, Morphtronics is interesting. One thing I do want to point out, Link summoning is really good for turbo dueling. Because when you
Well,
think about it, they would actually work in that sense.
well, they have speed duels in Vrains, but that's something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Morphtronics could maybe gain a couple more things, especially when there's pendulum summoning. Like if you look at Symphonics,
Yeah.
they're kind of similar in a way. Just one's instrumental, the other is technology.
Yeah, that is true. That is very, very true.
So we can have like maybe some pendulums when it comes to Morphtronics, maybe. They would all have
Morphtronics,
low
yeah.
scale.
Another thing to point out about Morphtronics is if we look back at the anime and you see the magnet one, pendulums would help in that sense
Yeah,
to get that basically that stall the magnet stall.
that is true. That is true.
Isn't that when
Uh,
it's in defense mode and like they're both in
yeah,
defense mode, meaning you can't target either of them?
yeah, pretty much. Unless it's like a card effect, if I remember.
Yeah.
But your 5Ds would be
Um, Akiza plants.
okay. Yeah, yeah. That
They
they
don't
don't
have a lot of support.
they don't even have a link plant yet, so that's gonna
And
happen eventually.
one thing to point out about Akiza's deck specifically, Rose Garden.
Yeah,
We
that
need
that
a
is
new field spell. We need an updated version of Rose Garden because I always found it kind of dumb how Rose Garden half the attack of plant monsters.
yeah.
I always found that dumb because you always know that okay, so these field spells that hinder other cards won't hinder cards that actually go with the field spell, yet Akiza's deck entirely was affected by it.
Oh, actually, for 5Ds, I don't even have an honorable mention.
An honorable mention for me would probably be the Spirit deck for Luna.
Well, it's not really a spirit. It's more fairies.
Yeah, it's a fairy deck, but at the same time, it is more of a Spirit World based deck. Because all of her monsters were basically from the Spirit World.
That is true. Oh, I have my honorable mention.
You do?
Yeah, I just thought of it right now.
Go for it.
TGs.
Yeah.
Because they are synchro heavy.
Yeah, they
And
are.
with how Link Summoning is introduced, they could use a little bit of a boost.
Mm-hmm. Now, for Zexal and beyond, I haven't watched any of Zexal, to be honest. Well,
Alright,
actually, no. I've watched Zexal, but I barely watched anything, so I'm not going to have a lot of
alright.
decks to go with.
If you want, you can skip Zexal. I could probably mention a couple decks off the top of my head.
Well, Zexal is the only one I can mention because I haven't watched Arc 5 at all.
Alright, we'll go with you. I'll probably mention quite a few when it comes to Zexal.
Okay, so in Zexal, a deck that from the decks that I remember, I only watched the first season, by the way, and then I was like, this is
Yeah,
giving me a headache. But a card that I want to see more of is that cat deck that I saw.
good. You didn't take what I was gonna mention.
I
But no,
wanted, I want to see
yeah,
more cats. Honestly, I want to see more cats.
you don't have enough of the cat that I just got.
Shut up. We don't talk about that cat specifically.
For me, like I have surprisingly as much as I'm not a fan, at least of the main first half of Zexal. There are quite a bit that I would like to see that I don't know which one I would say. Well, okay, I know the one that I would want the most, but the honorable mentions for me, there's a few.
All
Uh,
right.
the the one that I would like to see get more stuff, sharks.
Sharks was actually what I was thinking of, but then at the same time, we have the bomb out shark and we have the totally awesome
Well,
play.
well, the thing is, totally awesome. Technically, isn't a shark, but the thing is,
It's a
when,
frog.
but the thing is, when Norton being banned, sharks took a big hit when it came to that because with sharks you're able to like special summon from the grave to go to your Xyz plays, but it's so Xyz heavy that you wouldn't be able to just get one monster. You need well, you can only get one monster when you need more. So if they somehow introduce some Link shark monsters, then you'd be able to do even more.
One thing that I should probably remind you about is that if we special summon from the graveyard Xyz monsters and Synchro monsters, we could potentially do that instead.
No, that is true, but the way that I'm mentioning for special summoning is from the extra deck.
Which actually, this is like
Because
we're thinking.
you've seen my shark build before Norton got banned.
Yeah,
I
I
was
saw
I
your
was
shark build,
I
and you
was
were
able to
good.
XZ summon at least 3 monsters in one turn.
Yeah. One thing I should mention though, because I just thought of this. Instead of getting cards that would better like help out with link summoning, perhaps we could get cards that could send from extra deck to the graveyard.
Well, that's what I mean. There could be cards that's like a cost where you send a card from your extra deck to the grave to do
Mm-hmm.
specific things, which then later on allows you to do other plays.
Yeah. So basically, maybe we could get a link monster that takes from the extra deck, like you're probably saying, and then that goes to the graveyard.
Yeah,
Or
like
we could
that would probably
potentially.
that could potentially help a shark deck out where you can just send stuff from the extra deck to the graveyard for
Well, that
something
could
to
help.
happen, and then later on you can just special summon it
That
back.
could help all decks, like not just sharks. But another thing that have a that I think would be more realistic, something such as like a fusion recycling card or a synchro recycling card, where you send a card from your extra deck to the graveyard to return to your hand from the graveyard, fusion materials or synchro materials.
Well, there's kind of a field spell for fusions that does
Well,
something like that.
fusion recycling plant, I know that,
Yeah,
but it's
but
not
for
from the
but
extra
for
deck.
but for synchro they don't have anything like that yet.
But again, that's not from the extra deck. That's more from your hand. You discard one card, I believe, and then
I
you.
I do feel like if a whole bunch of theme decks has something like that, then it may break the game.
It wouldn't necessarily break it, but I do think it would return some speed to, or some use to some decks
Well,
because heroes are basically broken.
well, here's the thing: there there are ways, even with Link Summoning, that you can just like special summon like crazy on the field, and it doesn't slow the game down.
Yeah.
I've seen videos of people testing out Link Summoning with Zeus, and they were able to just get so many things on the field. Like it was insane.
Well, exactly. Zoos aren't like they are extra deck heavy, but they're not monster zone heavy. That's the thing.
So honorable mentions that I have that I could probably think of off the top of my head. Galaxies.
Galaxies. I feel like they have a
Uh,
lot of support though.
there's well, I mean like a Galaxy and something from Arc 5, which I'm also gonna end up mentioning later.
Okay.
Uh, there's Battling Boxers,
Battling boxers. Okay.
Chronoblies maybe.
Oh, I just thought of a honorable mention for myself.
Oh,
Artifacts.
well, technically Artifacts was not used in the anime if I remember,
No,
but
he what? It was the first couple. It was one of the first seasons, I believe. Yuma was going up against this artifact user. I remember artifacts being used.
you might be thinking Chronoblies.
No, I'm not thinking chronomalies. I know what happened in the chronomaly one, but I remember like stuff like artifact shield and stuff was being used.
I'd have to check that.
I don't remember much, but I do remember artifacts were used somewhere.
Um, I'm just gonna mention this like as a personal shout out for me, being someone that just makes random stupid decks.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Umbral Horus. They're a stupid deck, but I kind of like them. But I feel like there could be more. Because to
Yeah.
be honest, they only have 4 monsters, and then they technically have a number monster of their own, which is Masquerade, and then
I mean, the same can be said
and-
about Vision Heroes.
but no, like Umbra Horrors with the way that they play, which is pretty much you have to sacrifice your own life points to do plays.
Mm-hmm.
I like that style of playing, so I feel like they should get more than just 4 monsters and at least 2 XZs.
Yeah.
Give them, give us spells, give us traps, please.
I guess
Uh,
the same could be said for Psychic back at 5Ds. Psychics?
yeah, why did I not think of psychics?
Don't know, but Psychics. I mean, technically, I almost got it with Akiza, her being a psychic and all, but she's not a psychic
Yeah, she uses
deck.
plan.
But she is a psychic duelist, technically.
And I just want to mention this, just because why the fuck not? Butterflies.
Yeah. How did I
Yeah.
know that was gonna happen?
I made a butterfly deck out of a dare. Sue me.
Yeah. Well, I just
So
thought of something. We
let,
got on the topic of psychics. I just thought of something all the way back to Duel Monsters.
sure, why not? Go for it.
Pegasus.
Tunes, yes. Actually, I'm also
Tunes.
surprised. I'm surprised you personally did not mention harpies.
Harpies are like... I'm happy with the Harpy deck I have because it's not really extra deck heavy.
All right.
So I felt like, yeah, it'd be cool to get some support, but again, I would completely understand why we wouldn't get any. Also for GX, did you mention Amazonas?
I feel like, well, we are getting stuff with Amazonas next month with
Yeah.
Legendals 1, which is why I didn't mention anything about
Okay.
that. Then we get to the last one. We're not going to count Veins because it just started. Arc 5.
Arc 5. I have literally no knowledge of Arc 5. Was Fluffles in Arc 5?
Yes.
Then I would say Fluffles, because they get hit by Link summoning.
I would like to mention that instead of Fluffles, you can pick Ninja.
Oh yeah, ninjas. Sweet. Ninjas instead. Ninjas for days! Actually, they're not extra deck heavy at all.
So since you don't know much about Arc 5, I'm just gonna mention decks that I think.
Alright.
Abyss Actors for one, because I actually really do like them, and then Pendulum Base. So
When did Burning Abyss come out?
Burning Abyss was not anime wise; it was a TCG exclusive.
Okay.
Well, Burning Abyss will be mentioned in the other topic.
Alright.
But yeah, there's Abyss Actors, like I mentioned. Melodious. I would like to see more Melodious.
Melodious, okay.
I'm just gonna mention this because I feel like this is probably something that is going to happen. Gem Knights.
Gem Knights. I thought they were before Arc 5.
Nope, they got introduced in Arc 5.
Because I remember the Xyz monster for Gem Knight.
Well, here's the thing. We got the cards before the
Okay.
Arc 5. So.
Okay.
Cypher, which is the other half of the Galaxy stuff.
Right. Galaxy Eye, Cypher Dragon stuff.
Because I feel like they should have cards that has joint effects where you can search or special summon Galaxy or Cypher stuff.
I guess, when did we get Comics Hero? Is that in Arc 5 or was that in Zexal?
To be honest, I actually don't know because I don't think I saw it in... Actually, it might be Zexal now that I think about it.
Yeah, because I remember actually I was looking up how do you summon the Chaos Xyz, because I completely did not know what the Chaos numbers were at all. I did not know what those were.
Yeah, the Chaos stuff was Zexal.
So I literally looked up a video and it's like, yep, that's Zexal. Okay.
Oh, I forgot. Give me puppets for Zexal.
But I think an honorable mention for me would be, how about giving us cards for Comics Heroes?
Yeah, we only have the one right now. We can use more. We can have
two technically with the Chaos Xyz.
We can have like a hero story kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's see what else is there for Arc 5. Uh, I'm not gonna say Perform Pals or Perform Ages because I think that's enough that we have for those. Uh, Super Heavy Samurais. We need more Super Heavy Samurais.
When did Six Samurai show up in the anime? Didn't they show up in the anime?
No.
They seem like a card that would be.
What
Probably.
else would?
I remember seeing them in the games, but I don't remember seeing them in 5Ds. But that Six Samurais were from the 2010 World Championship games, which I know it's not the anime, but it still has the story mode in it.
Maybe Predaplants?
I don't want to see more of those, to be honest, in my personal opinion. But
I kind of do, just to see what they would do with it.
she uses your opponent's monsters for link summoning, probably.
Oh please.
No, don't do that. Please, no. They
Man,
already do that for fusions, which is another thing I want to bring up. Predplants fuse with your opponent's monsters.
If they have plant counters on it, yes.
That's basically a super poly.
But you can only use one of your opponent's monsters, not like all of them.
I know, but that is basically a super poly. I know it's just one of your monsters, but you can pick which monster.
Oh, Ray Raptors. Ray Raptors will probably be.
I don't see a lot of them. Even in the old format, I didn't see a lot of Raid Raptors. I saw a few, but I didn't see a lot.
Well, there was better stuff technically. Like Ray Raptors aren't as bad. It's just there's better stuff out there.
Actually, I did see Raid Raptors in a locals that I went to a while back. Like a long while back. I did see Raid Raptors. It's not like they were all over the place. It was more of like a couple people running them. And I was like, ooh, Raid Raptors. That's cool.
So off the top of my head, when it comes to Arc 5, those are pretty much what I can think of.
Okay. And we're going to skip V-Rains because...
Yeah, it just started. It's only 12, 13 episodes in, so... And plus, their stuff is pretty much going to be coming out in, like, the standard packs.
And again, I haven't seen Arc 5. And I haven't even watched V-Rains. And I think I just want to skip Zexal and watch Arc 5 instead.
Yeah, Arc 5 is better than Zexal. I will say that.
I hate Yuma.
Although maybe the dub isn't that bad. The sub isn't that bad for Zexal. Who knows?
I still find Yuma's character to be somewhat annoying. And one thing that I've noticed with the subs and the dubs, if a character is annoying in the dub, he most likely will be annoying in the sub. Leo being one prime example.
So, would we end the video here, or do we go on to the next?
I think we should end the video here because this already is like 43 minutes long.
Well, we did go kind of off topic a little bit.
Yeah.
But plus the next one's probably gonna, who knows, be longer or not.
Maybe, who knows. But anyways, one thing I guess I should bring up is what's actually included into the Duelist pack, and a link to this will be in the description below for this pack. But in the Legend Duelist Pack 2, there's going to be 1 holographic rare, 4 ultra rares, 6 super rares, 10 rares, 30 commons, and yeah, that's composed of what is that?
Mind you, this is OCG stuff.
Yeah, this is OCG stuff.
So when we get it, it might not be the exact same thing.
Right. But that's what the website says. So, yeah. Stay tuned for the next episode of Discussions.
Oh, the next one's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Alright. We'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Shut up, nobody cares.